Welcome back to Silver Screen Talks. Today, we are diving into a chilling tale with Abigail. When a team of kidnappers takes on a mysterious young woman, they uncover a dark secret that transforms their mission into a battle for survival. From deadly confrontations to shocking twists, this movie is a roller coaster of suspense. Ready for the ultimate showdown? Let's unravel the mysteries behind Abigail and her nightmarish world. New to the channel? Hit that subscribe button. We bring you amazing movies with detailed explanation which you won't want to miss out. The movie begins with a 12-year-old girl named Abigail, who is performing a ballet dance. After her dance class, Abigail gets into her luxurious car and heads to her mansion. We then see that some people are watching her and following her car. After Abigail arrives home, some of these people hack into her home's security and break in. Abigail is in her bed when they attack her. She tries to defend herself, but they inject her with a sedative, causing her to lose consciousness. Their mission is to kidnap Abigail. Just then, Abigail's father arrives home, but they manage to kidnap her and quickly escape with her in a van that was waiting outside. They take Abigail to an old mansion, where the mastermind of the kidnapping, Lambert, is waiting for them. Lambert's team consists of 6 people who had never met each other before and didn't know one another. Lambert introduces himself and says he knew they were experts in their respective fields, which is why he hired them for Abigail's kidnapping. One of the women asks Lambert who the girl they kidnapped is. Lambert tells her they don't need to know much, just that he plans to demand a $50 million ransom from Abigail's father, and once they get the money, everyone will get their share. Until then, it's their responsibility to keep Abigail carefully locked up in the room. Lambert then lays down some rules. The first rule is that no one will reveal their real names to anyone. The second rule is that no one will talk about their personal lives. The third rule is that no one will make any contact with the outside world. Lambert says that for the next 24 hours, their priority should be taking care of Abigail. He then takes everyone's cell phones and gives them new names: Frank, Dean, Sammy, Peter, Rickles, and Joey. Lambert also instructs them that Abigail's eyes should always be blindfolded and that only Joey should interact with her, so Abigail will only hear one voice. Whenever Joey goes near Abigail, she must hide her face. Lambert assures them that there's plenty of food, drinks, and clothing in the house, so no one should have any issues. He ends by saying, "See you after 24 hours," and then leaves. Afterward, the group begins discussing Abigail and speculating about who her father might be. Later, Joey goes to check on Abigail. Abigail is in pain because her hands are cuffed behind her back, and she is also blindfolded. Feeling sympathy for Abigail, Joey covers her face and removes the blindfold from Abigail's eyes. To make her more comfortable, Joey repositions the handcuffs so that Abigail's hands are bound in front of her instead of behind. Abigail starts crying and asks why she was taken. Joey explains that she was kidnapped, so her father would pay a ransom. Joey tries to reassure Abigail, telling her there's no need to be afraid because nothing will happen to her. Her father will bring the money tomorrow and take her home. But Abigail tells Joey that her father is a dangerous man and that he doesn't care about her. She insists that her father won't come to save her or pay the ransom. Joey then tells Abigail that she'll be back in a little while, and if she needs anything, she can just ask. As Joey is about to leave, Abigail says, "I'm really sorry for what's going to happen to you." Meanwhile, the kidnappers are joking around when Joey approaches Frank. Although she claims it's not necessary to know who Abigail's father is, she asks Frank if he knows. Frank dismissively says it doesn't matter who her father is. Joey then shares that Abigail mentioned her father is a very dangerous man, and if that's true, they should be more cautious. Frank initially laughs it off, but starts to think seriously about what Joey said. He goes to Abigail's room and is alarmed to see that her blindfold has been removed. He quickly hides his face and points his gun at Abigail, ordering her not to look at him. Terrified, Abigail averts her gaze as Frank demands to know her father's name. Abigail tells him that her father's name is Christophe Lazare. Frank leaves the room in a panic, puts on his jacket and announces to the others, "You guys can split my share of the money because I'm out. I'm not being a part of this kidnapping." As he tries to leave, Joey and the others stop him, asking why he's suddenly leaving. Frank reveals that they're in serious trouble because the girl is Christophe Lazare's daughter. When Sammy asks who Christoph Lazar is, Frank explains that he's an urban legend and an extremely dangerous man. Hearing this, everyone starts to get worried. Joey says that Lambert has put them in a difficult situation, and they begin to argue among themselves. Frank angrily tells everyone they need to figure something out quickly. Joey suggests that they gather their things and get far away from there since Abigail hasn't seen anyone's face, so they should be safe. However, Frank insists that they can't run because Abigail has seen his face. Peter suggests that they should kill Abigail, but Joey immediately objects, saying she won't let anyone harm an innocent child. Joey then asks Frank how much he trusts Lambert. Frank admits he does trust Lambert, but the situation is still risky. Dean argues that this is all Lambert's problem. They were just hired to do a job and will get paid for it. Joey reminds them that each of their shares will be $7 million, so it's worth the risk. Frank then suggests that they should forget about who Abigail's father is and focus on taking the money and disappearing once the job is done. With that, everyone gets back to work. Frank explains that they all need to stay on high alert. Rickles will keep watch from the upper floor. Joey will monitor all the entrances and exits, and Peter and Sammy will also be on lookout duty. Dean will check all areas of the house to ensure everything is in order. With 22 hours left, Frank emphasizes that they all need to stay vigilant. Dean follows Frank's instructions and starts monitoring the house. When he reaches the basement, he begins examining the items stored there. Suddenly, the door behind him opens on its own. Thinking someone is there, Dean walks over to check, but when he finds no one, he starts to return. Just then, something grabs his leg, pulls him down, and drags him across the floor. Dean screams for help. Meanwhile, Sammy is in another room when she hears Dean's screams. Alarmed, she goes to search for him. When she can't find him, she suddenly spots Dean sitting on the floor. Terrified, she approaches him, but as she gets closer, Dean's head suddenly detaches from his body and lands in her hands. Horrified, Sammy screams loudly. Hearing her scream, Peter rushes to her and is shocked to see Dean's decapitated body. The others, hearing Sammy's scream, also arrive at the scene. Frank, observing the brutal way Dean was killed, remarks that it looks like the work of a wild animal. Rickles then suggests that it's the work of Valdez. He explains that Valdez is Lazar's hitman, known for being as savage as a wild beast. Sammy is skeptical, thinking these are just rumors, but Frank insists that it is the truth. They all decide to check on Abigail. Frank says that if Valdez is here, it means Lambert set them all up. Frank checks on Abigail and finds that she's safe. Rickles, however, finds the whole situation very strange. He says that taking on this job was a mistake, and he doesn't want to be involved anymore. He declares that he's leaving. Joey tries to stop him, but when Rickles opens the door to leave, he finds another door, this one made of iron and locked. He tries to open it, but it won't budge. Peter then attempts to break the door down, but also fails. Suddenly, they all hear noises as metal shields begin covering the windows and doors. Rickles, alarmed, runs upstairs to find that his sniper rifle is missing. Frank suggests that if Valdez is involved, it's possible that Valdez is working with Abigail. Joey decides to find out and goes to Abigail, asking her if anyone besides herself and Frank has come to see her. Abigail, crying, says no one else has come, but then adds that she's afraid Frank is going to kill her. Joey reassures her, saying there's no need to be afraid because as long as she's around, no one will hurt Abigail. Abigail then reveals that Frank works for her father and that his real name is Valdez. Just then, Rickles enters and asks Joey to step outside the room. He informs her that his rifle is missing. Joey then shares that Abigail told her Frank is actually Valdez. Rickles begins to suspect that both Lambert and Frank are in on this together and that they're trying to seize power from Abigail's father. Joey says she's confused, and Rickles suggests that they should just focus on getting out of there. As Rickles starts searching for a way out, someone attacks him, and he's killed. Joey, now alarmed, grabs her gun and heads back to the group. She confronts Frank, asking why he did it. Peter is shocked to see Joey pointing a gun at Frank and asks why. Joey explains that Abigail told her everything and revealed that Frank is Valdez. Frank pulls out his gun, aims it at Joey, and calls her a fool, insisting that Abigail is lying and trying to mislead her. Joey accuses him of lying, claiming he killed both Dean and Rickles. Frank smirks and says that Abigail is trying to turn them against each other. He blames her for the deaths of his team members and accuses her of tarnishing his name. He then orders Peter to kill Abigail. Joey warns everyone that as long as she's there, no one will lay a hand on Abigail. But Peter, ignoring Joey, heads off to kill Abigail. Joey immediately chases after him. Peter enters Abigail's room, ready to kill her, but just as he's about to, Joey arrives and snatches the gun from his hand, pointing it at him. At that moment, Frank also comes in and aims his gun at Joey, telling her to step aside because he doesn't want to kill her needlessly. A tense argument breaks out between Peter, Joey, and Frank. Meanwhile, we see Abigail beginning to remove her handcuffs. Sammy notices Abigail and yells, drawing everyone's attention to her. They all stare in shock as Abigail frees herself from the handcuffs. Then, Abigail's true nature is revealed. She's a vampire. Abigail attacks Peter, and just as she's about to kill him, Frank fires a shot, hitting Abigail in the head. The group thinks they've finally gotten rid of Abigail, but to their horror, she gets back up. Abigail starts moving toward Joey, who fires several shots at her, but the bullets have no effect. Frank quickly shuts the door, locking Abigail inside the room, and they all flee. Everyone gathers in the hall, trying to figure out how to save themselves. Joey suggests there must be a way to escape. Frank says he's checked everywhere, and the entire house is locked down with some kind of magnetic shields. Since Sammy is a hacker, everyone asks if she can unlock the shields. Sammy responds that she needs access to the internet and a power source, without which she can't do anything. They then plan that if they want to survive, they must find a way to kill Abigail. They gather whatever they know can kill a vampire, like a crucifix, a wooden stake, and garlic, and head to Abigail's room to confront her. As they enter the room, they are horrified to see Abigail dancing with Dean's headless body. Fear grips everyone. Frank signals Sammy to attack Abigail. As Sammy approaches Abigail, Abigail quickly strikes first. Peter tries to intervene and stop Abigail to save Sammy, but Abigail wounds him with his own crucifix. Frank then attempts to stab Abigail with the wooden stake, but she snatches it from him and drives it into his leg. Somehow, they manage to escape the room, barely saving their lives. Joey says she has a plan. She recalls that when they kidnapped Abigail and injected her with a sedative, she was knocked out, so they need to capture her and sedate her again. They split up and start searching for Abigail. Suddenly, Peter spots Abigail and alerts everyone. Frank encounters Abigail and she pushes him down the stairs. Just as she's about to kill Frank, the others manage to capture her and Joey injects her with the sedative. Abigail threatens to kill them and she passes out. During the struggle, Sammy notices that Abigail bit her hand. Sammy and the others start worrying that she might turn into a vampire too. After a while, when Abigail regains consciousness, she finds herself locked in a cell. Abigail demands to be released, warning that it won't end well for anyone if they don't comply. Joey asks her why she wants to kill everyone. Abigail laughs at first and then reveals that she orchestrated this entire kidnapping herself and that Lambert works for her. She then calls each of them by their real names, exposing how they all betrayed the people working at Abigail's company for their own gain, resulting in some losing their lives. However, Frank counters, saying that the people Abigail is talking about were all criminals working for her father, Christophe Lazar. Joey then takes the injured Peter and Sammy to tend to their wounds, leaving Frank to keep watch over Abigail. Abigail offers Frank a deal. If he frees her from the cell, she promises to spare his life. Frank replies that he's not foolish enough to fall for her tricks and let her out. Upon hearing this, Abigail breaks the cell door and steps out. She slowly advances toward Frank, ready to kill him, when Joey suddenly enters and breaks the room's window. As soon as the sunlight hits Abigail's hands, her hand bursts. Abigail screams in agony, retreating from the sunlight, and her hands begin to heal. This gives Frank and Joey the chance to escape. They run to the hall where Sammy and Peter are waiting. Frank starts to panic, frantically searching for a way out of the house. Joey also makes every effort to find an exit from the house, but no one can find a way out. Sammy says that if she can find a power source, she might be able to disable the shields. Peter and Sammy then set out to locate the power source. Meanwhile, Joey and Frank also search the house for the power source. Despite their efforts, Sammy and Peter can't find it. Sammy becomes disheartened, but Peter encourages her not to give up. Suddenly, Sammy notices that the wounds from Abigail's bite on her hands start to heal by themselves. Sammy then hears Abigail's voice, who tells her that she now belongs to her and has become a vampire too, and orders Sammy to kill Peter. Sammy attacks Peter and, acting like a vampire, kills him by drinking his blood. Hearing the commotion, Frank and Joey arrive. When they see that Sammy has also become a vampire, they flee to the hall to save themselves. Sammy follows them into the hall, and as she approaches to kill them, Joey reflects sunlight towards her. The sunlight hits Sammy, causing her to disintegrate. Meanwhile, Frank and Joey are drawn to some noises and follow them to a room where Lambert is found. Lambert is also a vampire who works for Abigail. Joey and Frank ask him why he did this. Lambert explains that he was forced into it because Abigail is too powerful. Lambert offers Frank a deal. If Frank helps him, they can work together to eliminate Abigail, and in return, Lambert will give Frank whatever he wants. Joey dismisses Lambert's offer as a trick. Hearing this, Lambert grabs Joey and begins to choke her. With no other option to save Joey, Frank reluctantly agrees to Lambert's proposal. As soon as Frank agrees to Lambert's offer, Lambert suddenly bites his neck and makes Frank drink his blood. Frank begins to vomit blood, resulting in him also becoming a vampire. Once transformed, Frank immediately kills Lambert. He then goes after Joey to kill her. At that moment, Abigail arrives. Abigail and Frank start fighting each other. Joey seizes the opportunity and escapes. Frank overpowers Abigail, knocking her out and rendering her unconscious. Frank then finds Joey in the hall and grabs her. Joey tries desperately to save herself, but Frank stabs her with a metal rod. Abigail returns and engages Frank in a fight. She manages to bring him down, and together with Joey, they succeed in killing him. Afterwards, Abigail tells Joey that since she saved her life by helping, Abigail will not harm her and frees her. As Joey is about to leave, Abigail's father, Christoph Lazar, arrives. Lazar wants to kill Joey, but Abigail stops him and explains that although Joey was involved in her kidnapping, she was different from the rest. She ensured Abigail's safety. Hearing this, Lazar thanks Joey and allows her to leave unharmed. Joey exits and drives away in a car. So this was the end of the movie. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then hit the thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned for more detailed explanation of movies. Thanks for watching.